Hello, and welcome to episode number 43 of TMC, where we are here to help you take your relationship from surviving to thriving.
Today on TMC, we will be discussing marriage misconception with our special guests, Leon and Tracy Wright.
While you're tuning in today, go ahead and subscribe. Tracy and Leon, you can introduce yourself and tell the TMC listeners just a little bit about you.
I am Leon Wright. This is my lovely wife, Tracy Wright. We have been married for, it'll be 21 years this July.
It's our legal year. We're going to be legal.
Our marriage is legal, as they say. But we have 3 wonderful children. One that just graduated college, so we are super excited about that. We love marriage. We got married really young. So we kind of defied a lot of odds, and a lot that people said would not work. We have always really been different thinkers and different type of people. So we are excited to be here.
Mm-hmm. Well, for most people who do know us, we are the Wrights 205 on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. We are Welcome Home with the Wrights. We host a weekly show on Facebook, live every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. But the reason I brought that up, because one of the reasons we have a lot of people that follow us and support us is because our theme is divorce is not an option.
Amen. Come on.
You understand now, if you're in a dangerous situation, if your life is being threatened, please by all means get out. But if you guys are just arguing about who left the ketchup on the counter, who he didn't put his shoes back where they were supposed to go, he won't let the toilet seat down, then we're the couple for you, because we're going to help you get through those small obstacles to understand that you can have a wonderful and healthy marriage. And we just love marriage, right?
We love it.
We just love marriage.
Absolutely. This is so awesome. And this is why we are excited to have the Wrights with us tonight, because you guys are the second couple that we had on, and our stories align so much. Cedric and I got married. I was 19, he was 20, and we have been married for almost 23 years. And so connecting with a couple like you, that you all that believe in marriage and believe that divorce is not an option. We understand what you just said, that if there's an issue, that's something different, but just helping people to understand that with just a little bit of intentionality that we can be better. And we love it. We are so excited to have you all on here tonight.
We got married in August 31st, 1998.
We were July 22nd, 2000.
Oh, wow.
All right.
See, I know the date better than her. I should get it. But
we were still in high school now. In 98, he was
I just graduated high school in 98.
I graduated in 99, and then we got married that summer after I graduated.
So I was 20 when we got married.
And I was 19.
Same thing.
Same
thing. That's what we said.
The theme is marriage misconception. And I mean, I think this would be a great place to start. For example, we got married. I was 20, she was 19, and the same thing happened with you guys. And I remember when I first got married, I mean, there were family members, there were people, I was getting ready to go into the military, and everyone said, man, you're too young, it's not going to work. And so I want to start off with that misconception. I think that's great misconception to start out with, because you have 2 marriages that's past 20, and we both got married before we hit 21, before we were legally able to have a glass of wine if we choose to do so.
Right. Yeah, we got your marriage ain't gonna make it past 1 year.
Yeah.
1 year, then they moved the stick up on us and said we won't last 3 years. Then we made 3 years and we were still happy and chugging along. Then they moved the stick again to 5 years.
We was like, my Lord, they don't want us to be married.
But by the time we looked up, we were 10 years in and they were still saying you're not gonna make it, and we were actually celebrating pretty hard.
That was a big one, because we had made it, but that was in the beginning. That's what they was like, people get married young, high school sweethearts, they don't make it past 1 year. And we was like, why would somebody say that to somebody who just getting married? We all googly-eyed and all in love. You gonna tell me we ain't gonna make it?
Right. You shoot us down like that, y'all not gonna make it. Really?
Yeah.
And then let's talk about friends, because all of our friends were like, "Are y'all crazy? Like, yeah, what about college? What about this? Y'all need to be living life."
None of our friends understood why we were getting married. They all thought something was wrong. You hadn't lived life yet. Well, I've done enough to know that this is what I want.
Exactly.
All right. So that's the first misconception. The first misconception is that because you marry young, it won't last. That's a misconception.
Let's talk about this. So how did you guys meet?
we met we met in a summer camp, actually.
Wow.
When we were young.
I think I
was 12.
13. I may have been 13, 14.
Wow.
Yeah,
We
but
met
now
in the
we
summer
weren't
camp.
dating then, but we met. And look, I'm gonna tell a little story. I was fighting. I was fighting this little boy, and he came and broke it with him. He came and broke the fight up. And from then it was like, hey, I know him. And then I think from there we just kind of kept seeing each other.
Yeah, and we just always clicked, and it's just been that amazing, indescribable chemistry since
Oh man, that's awesome.
that day I broke up that fight, and I'm so happy I broke up that fight.
Right? I love it. I love it.
Oh man, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Awesome.
And so from there, we went, because we went separate ways. We didn't go to school together, and it wasn't until we came back.
Yeah, we actually came back to that.
Yeah, because I was in elementary, you were in middle school. Yeah. And we came back that same summer camp, the same exact. And this time we both were counselors, not campers. Yeah, we were actually counselors this time, and it was the campers that I guess they recognized the chemistry. Wow. And it was the cutest little thing. The little campers got together and did us a note from him to me, asking if I would go with him. Wow. And that's how we started. That's exactly how we started.
It was like we were like 12, 13, 14 when we met, and then come back around a few years later and some 12, 13, 14-year-olds
hooked us up together.
Wow.
Absolutely. So what misconceptions did you guys want to share with us tonight? Let's jump into one of those.
Well, I'll start with one because a lot of people don't know. I guess we probably should have said this in the beginning, because not only is this my husband, not only is this my best friend, not only is he my pastor, but we work together.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, when they hear that, they like, wait a minute, stop. There's no way in the world you can work with your husband.
Right.
We work together. We do literally everything together. Before we came into ministry, we clubbed together. We sing together. And then now that we on the lower side, thank you, Lord, for saving us.
We on the battlefield for the Lord
together. Together. So that's one of the misconceptions that I would say is you can actually work with your spouse. And it don't have to be awkward. Would you say that? It don't have to be, they be like, girl, sometimes I need my space. I need this, I need that. And I actually, when people say that to me, I get a little tickle. I'm like, why did you get married? If you got to have all this space, why you don't like your husband? But that's another topic for another day, because we can talk about that. But in our world and in our life, yes, me and my husband work together. People be like, well, how do y'all still have intimate time and quality time if y'all are still working together? We still have intimate time. We still have quality time. One of the things that we do as entrepreneurs and working together is we take our lunch very serious. I don't care what didn't happen throughout that day. When it's time for lunch, we shut everything down. We ain't answering no phone calls. And those, we actually have like little miniature dates.
We have,
throughout the week, because we take lunch serious. And then Friday, which is
our date.
That's our date night, date day. We take Friday extremely serious. We don't schedule any appointments. So we have, I would say, a good balance.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can work. It doesn't have to be as hard. You don't have to go with what the world is saying. You can make it work with working with your spouse. And y'all can still, do y'all like each other? I just so confused. Yeah, because I like him. I like working with him. When we got to have a meet, when we had sales meet, I like coming to sales meet, talking to him about what we got going on.
And when we have to have ministry meetings, guess who we have ministry meetings together. So hey, it's all tied in together, because the bond was just a thing that we found out was indestructible. We won't allow it to be destroyed. Another misconception is, which I was going to revert back to, which is one that we started off with, was that age. Yeah. The age, it's popular R&B artist. I'm not gonna call his name because he's kind of
in a little trouble
situations right now. But he has a song that says age is just a number. And I was actually watching a video earlier of a couple that had been married for 70 years. And guess what? They started at a really young age. The only way you're going to get to those kind of numbers is you start young. So a misconception about that is you can't get married because you're that young. That's a misconception.
Yeah, huge misconception.
Absolutely. And you all have already shared some points for how it can work, for how it can work working with your spouse, for how it can work getting married young. And it connects with something that we share with the TMC listeners all the time, that really it's about intentionality. You know, whatever it is, it's about intentionality. If you're intentional about that quality time with your spouse, then working together won't get in the way, because business is over here, we're over here, and we still moving together. If you're intentional about cultivating a relationship and being together and working together and staying together, if you make that your intention from the beginning, then it really doesn't matter how old you are. You can get married and it can last because you're intentional about it lasting.
Another thing that we have adopted in our marriage, it don't matter what's going on the outside, we're going to have peace in our home.
Come on.
We don't care what's going on. We don't care who said what. When we come home, it's going to be peace in our home. And as long as we've kept that at the forefront, we're both so excited to come home. When we turn that corner on our street, it's like a sigh. It's like, because it's going to be peace in our home. We had decided we weren't going to argue. It's some things we not going to say in our home. And this is some agreements that we agreed to do because we wanted peace. We wanted this bond to be unbreakable. And we can let the outside world tear us up. Because let me tell you about these outside people. Once they tear your marriage up, they leave you sitting there looking really, really stupid. If they don't try to get your man or your woman, but they leave you there looking really, really stupid after everything, after all of their opinions have been thrown in the bucket. So we had to say, you know what, we don't listen to the out. It's what me and him agree on.
This is just making my heart happy because you know what I think it's important. I really think it's important for other people to see it. And I thank God for platforms such as this so that other people can see. So that young couple that's 21 and just got married can see that they can make it. For that young couple that's starting a business and they're married, they can see that they can make it. For that couple that's in ministry, they can see that they can make it, that they can be happy. Oh, there's other couples that are happy too. I don't have to be in ministry and miserable. I can be loving the Lord and my spouse. Yeah.
You know, I have to shift this a little bit. I want to, because I'm telling you, you said one thing that was very crucial, intentionality. You guys date, and what else from day number one? What are some of the things that you all did to keep that spark going? I mean, you 20 years into it, and it's still, you guys are still on fire.
We had to hurt a lot of feelings. We ended up having to hurt a lot of people's feelings because we really, I would say, a lot of our beginning phases of marriage, you know, we kind of wanted to keep a lot of people involved in what was going on with our marriage, and we tried to keep the certain friendships around. But as we grew and as we matured, I make sure I'm intentional about using that word. As we matured, a lot of other people didn't, and they could not see where we were going. And so we ended up having to hurt a lot of people's feelings. And oddly, that allowed us to keep the flame going in our marriage, because we didn't realize at the time that some of those people and some of those relationships were toxic. They were pulling us down, they were dragging us, they were blocking us from certain things. But once we got to the place where we said, you know what, we either gonna make them happy or we gonna be happy, and we chose us, and it hurt a lot of feelings.
And actually, that's what I was gonna say. Our number one key rule. Number one is we definitely keep God. Even when we've been doing right, we always keep God in there.
Absolutely.
But our number two golden rule, we choose each other. We choose each other. I don't worry about no girlfriends. I don't worry about no friends. We choose each other. If you don't agree what we got going on, you're not the couple for us to be around. Even when it comes to church and things like that, my husband, he tells people all the time, if you're gonna deal with me, you got to deal with her. And that's pretty much the same thing. If you deal with me, you got to deal with him. We come as a package.
Yes.
We literally do everything together.
Earlier today.
Yeah, we were on the beach looking at seashells. That's what we were doing. And we were with another couple. I told you my son is dating this new girl, and her parents told us they had been together since they were 16 to 17 years old. That was really interesting to me today. And I was watching them together, and I told my husband, I said, Bass, I really believe God allowed us to see this to encourage us that it really can happen.
Yes.
That we not crazy. We literally had this conversation today walking on the beach, and I said that we didn't miss it. We didn't get it wrong. And I told him, so I'm just basking and watching that couple, because y'all, they were snorkeling and scuba diving and playing together, and they're a little bit older than us. And but to see that, and then my husband found that article today about the 70-year-old
when I was
couple.
watching that interview, they were actually the husband actually said the same thing. He said, we do everything together, and that's just how it is. And he said, if I had to get married again, I'd do it all over again. And he was firm, because he was, when they get 80, 90 plus, they say what they gonna say, and they mean it. And so we actually had this conversation earlier today.
And I told him, I said, I believe God showed us this to let us know that we're in the right direction. Just keep doing what we're doing.
And the words I told my wife, I said, what it is, and this is probably what y'all are feeling, is that y'all are rare. You are rare. So that's why you get the feeling of, is something wrong with us? Is it something about, are we doing it right? Everybody else is saying this and that. No, y'all are just rare. The reason you have this platform is because you are rare. Your marriage is valuable. Anything about when things when they get rare, the value of it goes up. And so that's how you're in the place that you're in, because you're so rare. I can only imagine that, because you guys are able to do what you're doing, because you're rare. It's not often seen.
And valuable.
And it's valuable.
And because you're valuable, don't hide it no more. Let everybody know how rare you are, because that's what we're doing way down here in Alabama. Baby, we love each other and we proud.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for that encouragement.
This is so refreshing, man. Wow. While we're talking about this, here's another misconception. I've heard this every now and then. Like, for example, I'm around 10, it was in the military. Somebody may talk to my wife, another female may go to my wife, but like, oh, do he have a brother or a cousin? And I believe this is another misconception, because somebody may look at me and say, oh man, he's a good man, he's good to her, and she's a good woman, she's good to her husband. But I want to talk about this misconception, because a lot of people say this, but I believe they're not willing to do the work to have that relationship that you guys are having, or that relationship that we are having. So let's speak to that misconception.
I'm gonna let my wife take that one, because that's a passion, that's a strong passion of hers. So I'm gonna let her take that one.
Because I tell women in my church all the time, when they talk and they be like, I'm praying that God send me a Pastor Leon. I'm praying God send me somebody like Leon. And I have to tell them every single time, number one, be careful what you pray for. Because you don't know the work that I put in to see Pastor Leon. When I married Pastor Leon, he wasn't pastor, he was Leon. I was Tracy. Now you see Pastor Leon and you see First Lady Tracy, because it has taken work for us to get to where we are. If you're not willing to put in the work, if you're not willing to put in the tears, if you're not willing to put in the time, I tell a lot of women all the time, one of the things I had to do in my marriage was change my mouth and change my language.
Come on.
In the beginning of my marriage, I would use my mouth to tear my marriage down. Then God showed me to take that same strong tone that I have and build this man up. So when y'all see Pastor Leon, but when we first got together, that wasn't him. But I would speak over, he is a mighty man of God. This man loves me. This man is faithful to me. When he would be asleep at night, I would be praying over this man and speaking what I wanted to see. I would use words of affirmation to build him. And now I'm eating the fruit of what I sowed.
I told you
that's my passion, y'all.
Yeah, you done gifted that one.
And you know what? And so I think this is a good moment to speak to that marriage, speak to that relationship, to somebody. She mentioned sow into, pour into. That was a moment. It was the same thing, because I remember when we first got married. I mean, I thought very little of myself. She built me up. I mean, I'm talking like Noah building the ark. I mean, she built me up. And now that ark that she built, now she able to, I mean, when we first got married, I was a chicken that thought I was less than that, and this woman built me up. And from a man's perspective, I want to speak to women, and Leah, and I want you to speak to this too, from your perspective. I am faithful to my wife. I'm faithful to my wife because I remember this woman wanted me when nobody else did.
Right.
I remember
Right.
this woman loved me when nobody else did. When people were talking
Right.
about me, you know, and she built me up. And now what she built up, she's
Reaping the benefits.
reaping the benefits. It sounds weird me saying
no,
it,
it's
but
the truth.
I mean, but
it's
it's
the
a
truth.
Leon, speak to your aspect of it.
I mean, it's absolutely the truth because again, when we got married, pastor wasn't even on my radar.
Same.
To be honest with you, church
Come on.
isn't really on my radar.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, her life is what brought me back to Christ because I was not interested in church. But you know, after we got married, and like you said, Cedric, the fact that she saw what nobody else saw, I have that same testimony, and that's why I love my wife so hard, is because when nobody else saw anything in me, because I was quiet, I was sitting in the corner, I was afraid to speak. Me doing this, what we're doing now, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I would have ran. You'd have never saw my face. You wouldn't even know who I am. But because I had a woman that was building me and encouraging me, I felt like I can go conquer the world. And that makes the world a difference in how your household is gonna go and how your marriage is gonna play out. We always get in this gender thing, but I like to tell women, you don't know how powerful you are to be able to push your husband to lead the family like he needs to lead the family. Yes, he's going to be the leader, but you are just as important in him in the household. That's why you were created, because he can't do it on his own. Because I didn't know all this was in my future. I didn't know this was my life planned out for me. I didn't know this is what God had for me. But when my wife began to speak it into me and speak over me, then now all of a sudden everything is starting to make sense. Now I can lead her. And now I can lead my children. She's living the benefits of what she speak, eating the fruit of what she spoke. But now, because her words have put me in a specific place and put me in the right position in our household, our entire household, our children, our son, our oldest son, when he should have been on the opposite side of the statistics, now he's on the rare side of the statistics, and he just graduated college. You know, never been to jail, never been in legal trouble.
Amen.
Because I had a strong woman that was building me to help me lead them. And it plays a major difference in how you're going to handle your household and how your household is going to flow.
Wow.
I hope they answered your question, Sid.
Oh yeah. That's good. You guys we're definitely sharing some nuggets tonight. And I think Cedric, you were talking about the misconception that came to mind when Cedric was talking is, when people say, does he have a brother or does he have a cousin? It's because they feel that they would have the same relationship with that person if they were with them. And I think that's a misconception, because the soul and the spirit, the life of the people have to line up. In order for Mr. Leon to become who he is today, Pastor Leon, leading the family, that aligned with the right person, which was Tracy, to know that, oh, Tracy she has a strong voice. She has power within her, and that power connected to his destiny to help him to get to where he can see it, because it was always there, but her speaking to him helped him to see it. And so for the woman that thinks that, oh, I want a spouse like him, you have to understand, like you said, sis, the work that you have to put in, because you bring something to the table to help your man get like him. He don't just turn it to that. You bring something to the table to help him get like him. And that's something that we have to know. I think it's the misconception that, oh, we just gonna get married, we love each other, or are we infatuated with each other, are we in lust with each other, and this is just gonna work. No, we have to put in the work. And what I do and what I bring to the table is what's gonna lift my man up. I'm gonna be the difference. I tell people all the time, we have to learn tone and pitch, and we have to learn when to speak, when to be quiet. And there's a lot of things that we have to learn as wives that we take to God and let him do the shaping and the molding, instead of us trying to cut it off with our tongue. We trying to cut it off for him with our tongue when we need to allow God to do his work. So that power that God created Tracy with from the beginning of time was destined to connect with the destiny inside of Leon to help lift him up and take him to where he's supposed to be. Ultimately, the whole family now reaps the benefits. And that's a generation after generation. And not only that, your sons seeing you lead in that way, seeing mom work side by side with dad. Now they will connect with spouses and they will expect the same thing because that's what they saw displayed before them, which is important. The way we think of who we want our kids to marry, we have to display that kind of marriage before them. So those are the things that we are doing as we are living a life on display and leading. However we do that, we have to remember that we're setting the tone. And I love it. I love it. I love it.
I'm gonna add a little bit more to that little misconception about do he have a brother or cousin? I tell people with a quickness, now y'all don't want none of my family members. What people don't understand, what they're really looking at is a maturation process. And so while these people are saying, I want that, well, and I could have done that for them. I could have been that. No, but you still in that place of immaturity. We have grown up. And so y'all haven't grown up yet. And so how far behind would we be? You still wouldn't get what, if we was to get together, you still wouldn't have what you see us with because you haven't matured. You haven't done the things that she did to get us there.
I want to bring up one misconception if y'all don't mind.
Yeah.
I listened to Cedric. He made one of the first things he said out of his mouth. He says, I'm faithful to my wife. That's a huge misconception. And when I'm saying that, because we hear so much that no man, and I guess no black man can be faithful to his wife. And I'm so happy to hear you say that, Mr. Cedric, because when I tell people, I was like, no, he can be faithful. Your husband can love you. Your husband can only desire you. Your husband can choose to come home every single night. And they be like, Tracy, girl, ain't no man faithful. All men cheat. So I was so happy to hear that tonight, because that's another uphill battle that I have to fight with other women that I'm telling them, it don't always have to be like that. Get that man to God and watch God clean them up.
Yes.
Clean them up.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I remember this kind of crazy, going back to what Leah said earlier about the rare. I remember, this happened in the military too, but I remember when I moved back to Houston, I used to travel a lot. And when we used to travel, I mean, the guys, I'm talking, they forget who they are when they get out, we call it in the field. When they get on the field, they forget who they are and who they have at home. And I remember one of the guys, he's trying to justify, he was married. He said, man, all men cheat. I'm like, dude, I never cheated on my wife. He said, this is what he said. He said, you don't count. I'm like, what you mean I don't count? I'm a man.
Right. So that would be so wait, you saying I'm not a man?
Right.
But yeah.
It's one more I want to touch about marriage. I think a big misconception, marriage means you lose your freedom.
I wonder why some people get married. Yeah, I have to ask this question because they want to get married and they still want to do girls trips, boys trips. Don't touch my food. We did a talk show a while back, and they was like, you buy your groceries, I buy my groceries. You do this, your money go here, my money go there. And I've asked the question then, why are y'all getting married? Why? And so here we go, you lose your freedom. That's what they tried to say about us, you lose your freedom.
Because we have always done everything together, we've always been free. So, I mean, when people say stuff like that, it doesn't really make sense to us because, matter of fact, I was just telling my wife this the other day. I said, a lot of the things that I'm able to do now and that I'm experiencing now is because you are here with me. I want to travel and see the world. I want to do this. I want to experience these types of things. I want to experience this and experience the stuff that we see on TV that we only think happens on TV land. No, it happens in real life and people really living this stuff. So, and I cringe every time I hear, especially a man say concerning his wife, calling her the ball and chain. Because that says you're in bondage again. Yeah. So why did you get married if she's gonna be a ball and chain? If she's a weight, then maybe you married the wrong person. But because I got somebody with me who share the same visions, share the same goals, we share the same dreams. What I dream, if she hadn't dreamed it, she attached herself to my dream. And the type of wife I got. If I say it, sometimes I have to really be careful about what I say because I know my wife will jump on it and try to make it happen. And I know it's not something that I want to happen right now. It's something that I'm looking at down the road. But sometimes I have to be careful with what I say because I got the type of wife that's gonna jump out there and make it happen and put it together. If they really understood what marriage was really about, that term would, and that phrase would cancel out of their verbiage, their, the way that they talk.
Because in marriage, I'm so glad you went there, because that's what I'm sitting over here trying to get my thoughts together. Because in marriage, it is freedom. In marriage, you're free, number one, to be yourself.
Absolutely.
You're free to be transparent with each other, vulnerable with each other. That's your freedom right there. And then for those that the sex, you're free to do this.
Yeah.
You're free to explore, try some things you never did before. Come out the boring stuff. Go study and look up some new things that you can do. It's free because you're supposed to experience that with your spouse. Yeah. It's free. It's freedom to travel. I tell people all the time, they invite me to trips all the time because people want me to laugh and talk and play with them. But I tell them I want to experience the world with him, because that's my freedom. When I go on vacation, I'm looking, I ain't got nothing on, no jewelry in that. This is my freedom. This is when I get to be Tracy. And I prefer to do that with him. I don't want to be around other people where I got to put on a show for, or put on a front for, and I can't be comfortable. This is my freedom. Yeah. Freedom is in marriage.
There is freedom in marriage. Do not believe for 1 second that I lost my freedom because I'm married. Because to me, I am more free now than I've ever been before. And that is because the two of us have something that is important, that's special. We push each other to continually grow. I tell everybody this, and I've been saying it a lot more since 2020, because I find myself in life doing things that I never thought I would ever do because of him. And it's anything I enjoy, anything new, learning, growing, whatever it is, there's freedom. He's a golfer. He likes to golf. He can go golf anytime he wants to. He's free. He is free. You said so much. Free as a couple to travel, free sexually, because we are, first of all, free because the word of God says we're free sexually to explore with our spouses, and we don't have to worry about waking up repenting for it in the morning. So all the freedom is there, because the thing about it is, once you get married, you have to remember, we know, those of us that know, we are two individuals, but we are living a life together in harmony. He's still Cedric. I'm still Shante. He has things that he likes to do. I have things that I like to do, but we have so many things that we like to do together. So if I'm going shopping, I may go shopping and eat lunch by myself. I don't lose that. I never count anything in marriage as a loss, but there's so many things that, like you said, I prefer to do with him, because we're married, we're a couple. I enjoy his company, I enjoy his time, and I'm free. I've had the same best friend for the same amount of years that I've been married, and I'm free to go to dinner with my best friend. That didn't change. So I think sometimes people get that free thing. That's a misconception for those that you want to be married, but maybe you still want to live that single life too. You want to be married, but you still want to do what everybody else is doing too. And that's not the way it goes. So you feel like you're losing your freedom, when sometimes I think what they really mean is that I'm gaining responsibility. And so when you gain responsibility, there are some things, because being a married woman, I don't go and hang out with friends till midnight. That's not something that I'm doing. I'm not with my friends every Friday night while my husband is at home. That's not something that I'm doing. So if that's what they're calling freedom, then that's where the misconception comes from, because I feel completely free. And I told him, we talk about it all the time. I told him recently, I was like, it's funny to me. I'm like, we've been married for almost 23 years, and I'm steady waiting for him to call me as soon as he get out from work. I want to be up under him. I want to watch TV with him. I am free. I don't feel like I'm in bondage. I don't feel like I'm imprisoned in any type of way. I don't feel like I lost any part of me because I'm connected to him. If anything, being connected to him enhances who I am. And that's what you were just talking about, Leon and Tracy. Being connected to the right person enhances who you are versus putting you in prison and in shackles. And now I feel like I'm losing my freedom. We have both shared on tonight that we are happy couples. We're a happy couple. You guys are a happy couple. So sometimes there's a misconception that because we are happy couples, people may think from the outside that we never disagree. So I think we could talk about that a little bit, because I think what we learned as a happy couple And even when we disagree, sharing that can help people. So sometimes there's a misconception that happy couples never disagree. So let's talk about that a little bit.
First of all, you're two separate people coming
from
together, two different worlds with your own opinion. Of course, you're going to disagree.
Yeah.
Of course. But one of the things in your disagreement is you have to learn how to fight there. In the beginning of our marriage, this is one of the things we had to learn. This is one of our hurdles. I'm really good with words and using my words that'll go below the belt. He's very good with ignoring and shutting me out and won't say nothing. And oh my God, if you don't talk back to me and I'm around here talking, I'm gonna knock everything off the wall. But we had to learn how to fight fair. So now I had to learn how to change my words, and then he had to learn
how to use my words. And people don't really see it this way, but disagreements are good because you can't be right
all the time,
every time. Your way is not the right way every time. Your perspective is not the correct perspective every time. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with your perspective or your thought pattern, but sometimes for certain situations, you may need a different opinion. You know, it's like when people go to the doctor and they get a diagnosis and the report comes back and it says one thing and they say, well, wait a minute, I want to go get a second opinion. Well, that doctor saw something on the x-ray that made him think that that's what it was, because there was something that was coming to his vision, his perspective. That's what he always saw. So he assumed that this is what it was. But when I go to another doctor and get another opinion and they see something different, okay, so now I got two differences of opinion. So now I got to really figure out what I'm going to do and what the situation is. And so in a marriage, when you disagree, it's my perspective, her perspective. Okay, but we got to figure out how we're going to work this situation. Which one of these perspectives is going to work for this situation? Which is not about who's right, who's wrong. It's about how we're going to work this situation. And a lot of problems and a lot of failure comes in marriage because everybody's trying to be right. So I got to fight how I want to fight. I got to fight to gain the advantage to be right. I'm not trying to fight, and I'm not trying to communicate to solve a problem or to gain understanding. I'm just trying to prove that I'm right. And when we figure out that I don't have to be right, let's understand each other's perspective, and then we can make it figure out how we're going to work out this situation. Before last thing I want to say, because I just saw this on one of the social media platforms. I saw two individuals and they were standing opposite of a number. One individual was looking at a 6, the other individual was looking at it and it was a 9. And the post said, just because you're right doesn't mean I'm wrong. Yeah. And when we learn that in the marriage, that I got to if I come around and see her perspective, then I can see how it's a 9. Meaning if I come around and see what you're thinking, okay, I can see how I'm blowing the money. Yeah. But from over here, I couldn't tell, because over here I was buying what I thought we needed. But now I'm over here, I can see how we're blowing it. And if you come around here, you can see how this is what we need. And, so we have to learn so the disagreements are not bad. You're going to have disagreements. Again, you're two different people. You're trying to come together as a unit. You see one thing one way, you see your spouse sees it the other way. But the important thing is that we figure out how to put both of what we see together and make this thing work.
Absolutely.
Every disagreement is not the end.
It's not the end of the world.
Exactly. Agree
to disagree in some places, because there's been times like, it is what it is. Well, we finna go eat. when you grow up and you realize some arguments ain't even worth it. Okay, it is what it is. We'll talk about that later.
When you communicate with your spouse, communicate to understand. Communication is not me talking, then you talking, and then me talking, and then you talking. No, communication is I'm listening to you talk to gain understanding on where you're coming from. And that's how you communicate. So I'm not waiting for my turn to talk. I'm listening to gain understanding. And so when you learn to gain understanding, because what a lot of people don't realize, or what they don't want to acknowledge, is that I'm not perfect. Your spouse is not perfect. Neither of us are perfect. So once we get past that, okay, now we can figure anything out. And when we understand that neither of us are perfect, I'm gonna make a mistake, you're gonna make a mistake. That's here, neither here nor there. Let's figure out how we're gonna get this problem worked out, more so than who made the mistake. So the advice I would give is don't focus on who made the mistake, who was right, who was wrong. Let's come together, talk about how we're gonna get out of this situation, how we're gonna move forward, because the forward progress of our marriage is more important than me being right or me being wrong.
And the only thing I would add, first of all, thank y'all so much for having
Yes,
us.
thank
We
you so
really
much.
enjoyed
Oh,
the
pleasure.
It's a
conversation
pleasure.
tonight, especially to find another couple that love each other. So that's amazing for us. But to the world and everybody that is listening, thank y'all for listening. But I would just encourage any husband and wife, what you pour in your marriage is what you're going to actually get out of it. If you don't see any hope, you won't get any hope. But if you see hope in your husband or your wife, if you see that, hey, this really is a good person, we just need to twist it just a little bit, work on it and chisel it and do some things, then guess what? What you put in it is what you'll get out of it. So if you put nothing in, only negativity, you're going to get negativity. But if you start putting in love, start putting in happiness, start putting in hope, start putting in positive words, start putting in positive action, words of affirmation, eventually, it may not happen overnight, but eventually you're going to see what you pour in. That's it. That's it.
Absolutely. I
Wow.
love it. That's awesome.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Leah and Tracy, we want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and adding value to us. Go ahead and let the audience know where you guys are at right now.
Well, yeah, we're currently on a vacation in Panama City,
Yeah.
Florida. We actually be leaving out tomorrow, but we're here on vacation. This is the tail end of the vacation. So, but we have had a wonderful time, and it's been awesome. Anytime we can stop to do this is worth stopping for, to help build a marriage, because that's what we're about. So
Thank
thank you for the opportunity.
Awesome.
And thank you both for sharing on tonight. Thank you. Thank you. And we look forward to chatting it up with you all again.
Absolutely.
We want to thank you for joining us today for another episode of TMC. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And turn on your notifications so you will be notified when we upload a video every week. If you're listening on iTunes, rate the podcast and leave a review. Head on over to our leadership podcast, Lead to Greatness, where my husband is interviewing entrepreneurs and great leaders every week.